You're watching the FARC Low Dollar series on Fuel Spill TV, and welcome back to Ohio. At the Nelson Ledges Road Course for Round 6 of the championship, the Smash Beer won for the Road 100. This is the second year in a row that FARC has visited this tight but fast little club course. 31 teams would show up this weekend for just 26 spots on the grid, thanks to the very limited pit space. And on the pole for the second year in a row would be Michaela Perry-Jones with Durbin Sport Racing, who surprised everybody, including herself last year when she dominated on her way to her first win. On her outside would be M&J Racing's Noah Dalitz, who takes his best career starting position. Dalitz has Race Sim on board that car once again, and he credited his starting position with a lot of practice time at this track on Race Sim. Starting third will be Ben McClellan, who is still sitting on negative points after that team's penalty in Mexico. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson sits on his outside. Row 3 will be Grant Carsons and Harry S. Enola. Starting right behind Enola will be M. Mark, who beat Enola at 70-77 last week for his first win. Starting 8th in the other M&J car will be Carrie Fenton, who just signed a development deal with Lynx, so that gives her a few more races on her FARC schedule this year. Mike Malone and Hunter Blaze will round out the top 10 starting spots. Daniel Sharp starts 11th with Durain Ridman on his outside. Mauro Adachi is back on track this week, starting in 13th with MJ Bakerman on his outside. Row 8 will be Rip Tyler and Patrick Ashcroft. Rip Tyler has yet to finish a race this season. Row 9 will be Anthony Griffith and Sergei Yakovsky. Row 10, Taylor Matthews, the new points leader, starts very deep in the field, with Rick Forrest making his second start of the year on her outside. Row 11 will be Skeeter Farnsworth and Todd Stater, third in points. Nicholas Radcliffe and Tony Long start in row 12, and the two wild cards would be Ramsey Cockiner and John Burr. The number 010 Hanky Panky racing machine for Ramsey Cockiner was not quite up to speed this weekend after they rebuilt it from their wreck at 70-77 with Chris Hankey at the wheel. Funny enough, if your name started with a D, you were in for a very bad time in qualifying. Dalton Carter, Danica Hollifield, and Daniel Bichard would fail to make the show. We expected them to at least be threats, but it wasn't meant to be. Bobby Dwyer and Dalton Johnson, not so much. And of course, David Bloom, the third entry for Team Burr, withdrew from the race after his car was totaled at 70-77. For the second time at this track, the pace car hands control of the start over to Michaela Perry-Jones. And she's going to get a solid start over Noah Dalitz, who lags behind a little bit. Opens up the fight for second place to Ben McClellan in that 228 car. Perry-Jones wastes no time taking off, leaving the rest of the field to jockey for position. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson seems to think that Noah Dalitz is holding him up and almost takes him out on the very first lap. As Ben McClellan settles into second, here comes Grant Carsons in the 86 off to a good start. He's going to make the move for third on that 63 car. Mauro Adachi is slowly making his way forward in the Walker Texas racing car. I'm sure he was disappointed with qualifying mid-pack, considering he brings a lot of road racing experience from Super GT, and he just saw him have to take evasive action after Carrie Fenton went off the road. That's just one of the hazards of qualifying mid-pack. Fenton has slipped back just a little bit. I'm sure she was not looking forward to that in her very first race with Lynx, and her race almost ended right there as she cut across Mauro Adachi's nose. But her teammate Noah Dalitz isn't faring much better as you see Mauro Adachi go off the road himself back there. It's possible that they set up that car more for qualifying, but if they did, they went way too far in that direction. He is dropping like a rock as he comes under attack from Mike Malone now, and it looks like he'll soon be passed by his teammate, Noah Dalitz, off to a very poor start today. But Mark in the 03 for Truman Ellison is very much on the move. Grant Carsons has gotten by Ben McClellan for second, and now he's going to lose out to Mark. McClellan does have the preferred line coming into this banked left-hander here, but Mark's got a lot of momentum around that outside, and he does have one of the fastest cars on track right now, aside from Michaela Perry-Jones, who is nowhere to be seen right now. Mark, fresh off of his first FARC win, settles into third. Hunter Blaze drives way off the road, deep in the field. He's going to lose even more positions after starting in 10th. Hunter Blaze is second in points coming into this race, but he's not doing himself a whole lot of favors. However, right behind him, Todd Stater and Taylor Matthews, his points rivals, are not doing much better. Yes, the drivers at the top of the standings are off to a terrible start right now, as is Nicholas Radcliffe. Not a good showing for him so far in the opening laps in one of the races that Smash Beer is sponsoring. He won several races in the FARC Truck Series last year on his way to a runner-up finish in the points, but the FARC Low Dollar Series has not been kind to him, as the only highlight of his season has been his 9th place finish at Albuquerque. Right behind him, Tony Long and Rick Forrest are battling for 23rd, and that goes horribly wrong for Tony Long as he drives off the road and into the tire barriers. Race control would not throw a full course yellow for this, as this happened at the back of the field with no traffic coming. Tony Long was able to abandon the car very quickly. Meanwhile, coming to the end of lap 11, Michaela Perry-Jones has already pulled out to a 10-second lead as she puts John Burr a lap down. The Indiana short tracker had never seen a road course prior to her rookie campaign in FARC, but with the way she's taken to this track, you'd think she's driven on nothing but road courses her whole life. Her Durban Sport teammate, Grant Carsons, is now coming under attack from Billy Ray Smith-Thompson for the 3rd spot. Mark got around him a while ago, and he doesn't want to lose any more ground right now. He's doing a good job defending that spot from the 42 so far. But coming into the last set of corners, Smith-Thompson's going to take him by surprise. He runs just slightly off the road, but he keeps the 3rd spot anyway. Smith-Thompson did used to race sprint cars quite regularly in his home state of Florida. He knows how to handle a little bit of dirt as he secures the 3rd spot, coming to the first caution of the day. And it looks like we've got Darain Ridman all over the back of Rip Tyler. He runs out of patience with the 16, runs him off the road. Rip Tyler trying to get back onto the track, but he has absolutely no grip out there, and he goes straight into the tire wall. And once again, Rip Tyler will not finish a race this season. An absolutely disastrous start for the 2-time champion will continue. And it's going to be 2 races and 2 blown engines for Ben McClellan after he was off to a fantastic start, holding down a spot in the top 5 during that first run. However, unlike in Mexico, the tech inspection gods will be kind to him, and he will leave today back into the positive points. The whole field made a round of pit stops under that yellow, and Michaela Perry-Jones would keep the lead with Billy Ray Smith-Thompson leapfrogging into second. You probably saw John Burr about to restart behind the 93. He dove into the pits to stay out of the leader's way. Very courteous of him. And it certainly looks like Billy Ray Smith-Thompson appreciates the opportunity to dislodge Perry-Jones from the lead, but he can't quite get to her through the first few corners. And Mark is back into 3rd place with Harry Asinola overtaking Grant Carsons for 4th. But coming to the end of the lap, Smith-Thompson really closes up on that 93. She leaves the door open for him on the inside through the final corner, but she really gets back on the throttle, and Perry-Jones keeps the lead. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson might have to make his move somewhere else on the track. But on the next lap, here comes M. Mark around the right side of the 42. He wants to get back into 2nd place, but they make contact, and they're both off the road and spinning. Smith-Thompson just kisses that tire barrier. He does have some damage on the right side of that car, but M. Mark has plunged straight into that wall. He is done for the day. That is the fastest part of the track with a lot of temptation to outbrake your opponents, and Mark would succumb to temptation. Inheriting 2nd and 3rd would be Harry Asinola and Mike Malone. These two could be moving past the growing pains with their new teams this season, as Enola, now a car owner, got a 2nd place finish last week, and Mike Malone finally finished his first race with Cat Motorsports. But Billy Ray Smith-Thompson's wild ride would continue as he gets together with Taylor Matthews now and goes off the road once again, suffering even more damage to that 42 car. He will limp back to the pits and get that car back together, but he will be well out of contention for a good finish now. Patrick Ashcroft is on the move after making some adjustments in the pits. He is getting around Grant Carsons now for 4th. If you look back there, Noah Dalitz's has picked up a little speed, as well as Daniel Sharp in the 77 for Team Thunder. But Ashcroft isn't content with 4th place as he makes a very quick move around Mike Malone to pick up 3rd. Ashcroft is going to secure the spot and work on chasing after Harry Enola now. And he's really trying to put the pressure to the 45, which is hard to do with Enola, but Enola slips right off the road. There may have been a little contact there, but if there was, it was very minimal. Nonetheless, Patrick Ashcroft picks up 3 positions in 2 laps. But Enola may have faded a little bit as he falls into the clutches of Grant Carsons, who promptly spins him off the road and into the tire barriers. The race stays green and Enola keeps going, but his car just isn't going to be the same after that. John Burr almost suffers the same fate at the hands of Noah Dalitz as he and Billy Ray Smith-Thompson get in the way. 3 wide just isn't going to work here, and Noah Dalitz gets into the side of Anthony Griffith, but Griffith in the Bum and Beaver Brewery machine is unfazed as he comes out the victor in that exchange. Noah Dalitz battles back on the inside a little more cleanly this time, but Griffith is going to hold him off and keep the spot. Right behind them, John Burr has just gotten back onto the track when he gets roughed up by Nicholas Radcliffe now. He goes straight into the wall, bouncing into the path of Sergei Akovsky. MJ Bakerman just barely gets clipped, and Todd Stater takes evasive action straight into another wall. That bridge right there just leaves no escape road if there's an accident right there. MJ Bakerman's gonna have her 2nd DNF in just her 2nd start, and poor John Burr will have another one of his cars destroyed for the 2nd week in a row. It's never a good feeling to see them caught up in a wreck like that. Meanwhile, the field would pit again with Michaela Perry-Jones still in the lead, Mike Malone 2nd. Here comes Daniel Sharp as Harry Enola gets in the 46's way. Sharp will take advantage and move into 2nd place. Noah Dallas in the 63 follows him. Daniel Sharp has been steadily moving forward since the start of this race. It also helps that he's been running some AmeriCar races, also for Team Thunder, but his FARC results have been very solid so far. He's one of the few drivers who have finished every one of their races at this point. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson is still well off the pace. Derain Ridman's going to get into the back of him. They sweep back across the track, collect Hunter Blaze, and they all go flying into that tire barrier at about 130 miles an hour. Race control would immediately throw the red flag, as this was a very serious crash in the fastest part of the course. Hunter Blaze and Derain Ridman both got out of their cars with minimal assistance. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson needed a lot of help. He hit that wall square with the driver's side. That is a tire barrier with an Armco wall behind it. So there was a lot of give there, and it could have been a lot worse. But still, while Smith-Thompson was awake and alert, he did need to be put on a stretcher right away and be taken straight to a local hospital. We don't have a current medical condition on him. Hunter Blaze would also be transferred to the hospital for further evaluation. Unfortunately, Billy Ray Smith-Thompson has dealt with serious injury before. He was sidelined in 2014 after a huge crash at the New York Auto Ring. Meanwhile, when the race got back underway, Taylor Matthews, the points leader, blew an engine and fell out of the race, so all of the top 3 in points, Matthews, Blaze, and Stater, are now out. This could blow the points battle wide open, as we now look at the restart. Noah Dalitz and Daniel Sharp rubbing fenders just a little bit, fighting for 2nd place as Michaela Perry-Jones drives off the road. This allows these guys to close in just a little bit, but Perry-Jones has led every lap so far, and now here comes Grant Carsons after the 77 for 3rd place. Now making a move on Noah Dalitz for 2nd. That's going to have to wait. Grant Carsons did slip a little bit in the middle of the race, but he wasn't far behind. He was still solidly looking at a top 5 spot, and now he's battling back. Carsons hounds Dalitz for several laps and finally makes his move. I think he caught Dalitz by surprise because he drove right off the track, and Carsons takes the spot quite easily. Carson's may have the fastest car on the track right now. He's going to get to work chasing down the 93 of his teammate, Michaela Perry-Jones, in these final 10 laps. Carson's has gotten very good coming down the backstretch and braking into these last set of corners. That's where he gains the most time on Perry-Jones. But you're going to see coming through the final corner that Perry-Jones is going to get a great exit. She's been nailing that final corner all day. You saw her fend off the challenge from Billy Ray Smith-Thompson earlier. That was the closest anyone's gotten to taking the lead from her. But he just did it in the wrong spot on the track, and she's kept the lead. But the ground that Carson's loses through the final corner, he makes back up around the rest of the track and then some. Coming down the backstretch again. He's much closer this time. Coming to the white flag. He closes to just within a couple of car lengths, but he's not there yet. And Perry-Jones, with a lot of pressure from the 86, still nails that final corner and gains a whole lot of ground back again. One more lap to go now. Grant Carson's has dealt with being the second place car faster than the leader on the last lap before. He has to make the move here or it's all over. Into the braking zone, he's further back than he was on the last lap. Carson's had the speed but not the consistency, so it's all over for him. Michaela Perry-Jones rounds the final corner, and she will take her second career win, second in a row at Nelson Ledges, in a wire-to-wire performance leading every single lap. And Carson's once again has to settle for second place, just as he did at Mexico, where he caught Patrick Ashcroft on the last lap but couldn't get by him. But controversy would break out in post-race technical inspection. Noah Dalitz was flagged third, but he would be disqualified for what the inspectors said was unapproved body modifications. The nose of the car was too low. M&J Racing immediately protested the ruling. Dalitz's crew chief Eddie Vero said that it was because of the earlier contact with Anthony Griffith. We'll have to see how that turns out, but right now, Daniel Sharp has been moved up to third with his teammate Anthony Griffith right behind him. So a very good double top five for Team Thunder. Mike Malone takes his first top five with Cat Motorsports, and Skeeter Farnsworth finishes up in sixth, avoiding all of the trouble. Only 11 cars finished the race. Mauro Adachi and Kerry Fenton hovered around the lower top 10 for most of the day, and that is where they finished, so a pair of respectable finishes for them. Nicholas Radcliffe had a very slow start, but moved up into the top 10, and Rick Forrest was not up to speed, but he kept his car clean and backed into 10th place. Harry Asinola was the last car to finish, and the only car off the lead lap at the end of the race. Unfortunately, a pair of really big accidents eliminated several cars. We do hope for the best for Hunter Blaze and Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, and of course, Taylor Matthews, Ramsey Cockiner, and some others blew engines throughout the day. Matthews did end up 12th, so the points leader coming into today's race did not have as bad of a result as it could have been. And of course, down in last place is where Noah Dalitz was credited, and to add insult to injury, he came away with only a single point, which is 50th place. 8 spots out of the last starting spot in a full 42-car field. Had he not been disqualified, his third place at the line would have been his best career finish. With the top 3 faltering today, Michaela Perry-Jones vaults into the lead with her perfect 100 points. Mauro Adachi moves back into 5th place, swapping that with Mark, who crashed early on in his wreck with Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, who sits down in 10th. Daniel Sharp and Grant Carson's, with their top 5 finishes, overtook Patrick Ashcroft, who did blow his engine after taking the second caution. Ashcroft had been very fast before that, and unfortunately, we missed that. Harry Asinola maintains 11th, with Anthony Griffith up to 12th. Tony Wong, despite crashing out early, would jump up into 13th as several of his rivals in the middle of the pack here, Archer Helms and Megan Gallagher, most notably, skipped this race. Mike Malone breaks into the top 20, jumping up to 14th. Doreen Ridman and Danica Hollifield are tied for 15th place, and Nicholas Radcliffe and Sergei Yakovsky round out the top 20. Coming up next for the FARC Low Dollar Series is the second trip to the Carl's Superstore Jonesboro Street Circuit in Arkansas. A very unique challenge for our ragtag bunch of short trackers who usually don't have street circuits on their minds. And as always, you'll be